Day 8, and with most of the priming and blocking complete, build leader Tim Strange and his volunteer team get ready to remove the suspension so what's underneath can be painted.
We are dismantling all the fender wells and all the trims so we can now start doing all the detail work on the vehicle now that the car's basically all the body work's been done.
Welcome to the glorious world of TV right there. That's what that is.
That's what hard work looks like.
You look right at the camera. There you go.
This is after the makeup lady.
What we got going on here is the whole front end is welded on like a true custom car. I've got everything prepped, bodywork and sealer. And now we're gonna put like 3 colors across the firewall because there's gonna be 3 colors on the outside of the car. So I'm gonna spray this first color down, which that'll end up being like the pinstripe color. Mask off another color, let that dry, mask off, put another color.
Our 20-day build schedule is doable thanks to the dozens of volunteers who shut down their shops for the cause. One grew up a generation apart, the other a half a world away. Chris Slee of Kiwi Classics and Customs has by far made the longest journey to get to the Power Block. Chris was born in Auckland, New Zealand.
So I moved from New Zealand to America, into Texas, into Tennessee, and here I am at POWERBLOCK TV.
And no, Kiwi doesn't necessarily mean the fruit.
Okay, a kiwi is a small flightless bird that is unique to New Zealand. It is our national bird. It's been adopted by the country as, I guess, a slang term for New Zealanders. So if you see a New Zealander, if you call them a kiwi, that's a nice thing to do.
We got Al Peterson that came in from Minnesota. I have known him pretty much, I think, my whole life. He's a friend of my dad's. My dad's 56 Nomad came from Al's shop.
I met Tim in front of his parents' house. He was a year old. He had this big, nice smile on his face, and I looked over at him and he went, oh, and he started to cry, and he cried and cried and cried. And I thought, what a brat. He's turned into a really fine guy, and what you see on the show is not acting. This is Tim Strange. Tim Strange is wild and crazy, but he's a real compassionate, real caring person, but don't tell him I told you that.
In a body shop.
It's for sure our Hornet paint booth is getting a workout. The guys are loading in all of the drivetrain components because even though they're under the car, they're still going to match the paint scheme that's going to grace the top of the Hudson. They may be a pretty blue, but still very functional.
Our gearbox started with a vintage Chrysler core donated by Stevens Performance in Anderson, Alabama. Now the transmission was built by Bowler Performance. And it's an already tough 727 torque flight beefed up with their heavy-duty internals and extra line pressure for a nice firm shift. But the torque converter is matched perfectly with the specs of the cam, so it's going to marry itself awesome to this car. But the Gear Vendors Overdrive Company sent this tail shaft overdrive that essentially turns that 3-speed into a semi-automatic 6-speed transmission, giving you both the versatility of the steep gears off the line for a nice takeoff, but also 15 to 20% better fuel economy on the highway, which makes it perfect for this Hudson Cruiser.
Now the pace is really beginning to pick up. The 8 3/4 Mopar axle housing that our owner Tom had is now painted and going into place. Following that, the Mustang 2 A-arms and spindles, courtesy of Fat Man Fabrications. And back in the paint booth, Tim is laying down the same blue paint on the inner fenders before the serious paint work on the body can begin. We'll just let these dry for now. Up next, we'll meet a husband and wife interior team who like to do it on the road. Plus, Tim breaks out the paint chart and throws down some color. Stay tuned. For Tim and the volunteers, this week has been nothing short of a miracle.
So we just got the door jambs painted, pulled it out of the booth, put it back up on the lip. We're getting ready to put the transmission, part of the exhaust in, and then bolt the motor to it. Tom already had a really good start on his Hudson in his home garage, and he had a lot of good parts to start with. So we actually used these block hugger headers that he had, sent them out to nitro plate, and had them coated and freshened up. Up, up.
So we've got Tim's head underneath the bottom, just in case the engine drops. That way it'll cushion it and won't scratch the paint.
Yeah, it'll bounce.
Man, guys, we did a ton of work this week. This thing was bare metal when you guys walked in. We body worked it, we primed it, and we did the bottom. We got the motor and tranny in it. The bottom's done, the firewall's painted. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys kicked serious butt this week.
Looks good, looks good. They did a nice job on the chop. Rounded the corners of the hood and the trunk. Look good. This will be easy for us this week.
If you see anything that you think needs to be done, I mean, run your hands over this thing. Throw some love into it.
Drip reel still needs some work, but the rest of the lines look really good.
10 down, 10 more days to go before the 51 Hudson is reunited with its owner. And the start of week 3 brings more volunteers.
When you're doing a complete one-off custom build, there's a whole bunch of stuff you got to decide. You don't just order an interior kit out of some catalog and throw it in, and order a stereo and throw it in. It takes a lot of planning for all these guys. So we had the interior guys show up, start doing planning. And stereo guys came over, started doing planning where the subs and the stereo box, all that stuff's gonna be. So make sure it's all right once it's all done.
While the lead sled gets prepped for paint, Sean and Jenna Christ get started on the interior.
It's already been gutted for us, so we're gonna go ahead and create a design for the customer, for the car. We'll fabricate all new panels for it. Over the course of the build, you'll see us installing different items, door panels, kick panels, quarter panels, and they'll all be completely one-offs, completely original just for this vehicle.
Jenna and Sean are a unique couple. Their custom hot rod interiors are second to none. And their business model is also unique.
We travel the country doing mobile hot rod interior services. We have an RV and a van we pack everything into, and instead of customers bringing their vehicles to us, we take the shop to them. She prefers the term gypsy. I like the term nomad. It takes 2 odd people like Jenna and myself to do something like that. It's very adventuresome. We get to meet some great people across the country doing it.
I handpick all the volunteers and the people that come. I've used their interior skills in my personal shop. Once you see this thing all done, you'll understand why they're here. We got the car in the booth. We got it all cleaned down, prepped, masked. Once we got the sealer all sprayed and it dried, we all went in there and talked about the paint scheme. Okay, so we got to figure out where we're going to lay the colors on this thing. DuPont has this book that they call the Spectromaster book. It's just full of paint chips. That's pretty much where I pick all my colors from. So I just flip through these books, take them out in the sun, hold them up to the car, kind of visualize what it's going to look like in the overall big picture. We had an artist rendering, I had an idea, a couple other people had some ideas, we all came to an agreement because we all want to be happy with the way this thing looks. I kind of like what we came up with.
What we actually have here is we have a dark blue base, which is going to be the pinstripe around the cream cove that's in here. We're going to mask both of those sections off so we can spray the entire car blue now.
The artwork had like a cove, which we thought it looked too much like a 60s Corvette. So we changed it and brought the cove back a little bit, got rid of a cove, and basically made an old panel. I call it a Watson style. Larry Watson was a very trend-setting painter in the 50s and 60s, and he did a lot of really cool panels and really cool stripes and colors on a lot of oddball cars, and that's kind of what we're paying homage to.
Now, Tim brought back a previous volunteer from the 48 Trucks build. Chris Ryan is a successful shop owner and custom expert. He'll assist in this tandem job of laying down the 3 colors.
The colors we're using, it's kind of a tri-tone paint job. From a distance, it's just going to look like 2 colors, but you get up close to it, and there's a little fine line pinstripe around the separating colors. It just kind of breaks it all up, gives it a little more color.
To donate parts or to volunteer for an upcoming build, just go to searchandrestoretv.com and click on Application.
I get a little nervous when it's come to lay down the color because it's chemicals. You're spraying in the air. You're hoping it's going to hit on the car and stick just right and not slide off the thing. Pretty much how it goes. You can be as best as you want to be, but there's still stuff that can happen when you're dealing with chemicals. So I'm a little nervous this morning. We got one more color to put on the whole body. If we get a little dust in it, we'll go back, scuff it out, blow a little color on it, let it flash off, and then we'll put all the clear on it. We do all the colors at once, then we unmask it and we clear over it so you got a nice smooth edge once we wet sand and buff it. We'll put about 7 coats of clear on it. The clear that I use has no reducer in it, so it doesn't solvent pop. You can pile that stuff on and it's good to go. Yeah, there's 7 coats on it now, but we're probably going to remove about 4 with the sanding.
Baked and removed from the oven, Tim and our volunteers guide the Hudson to the main floor to begin step 1 of sanding multiple layers of clear to perfection.
The color just pops. It's dark on the side, it's bright on the face tone. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome.
It looks that much better out here above these lights that are clear up there. I can't wait to get it cut, polished, and outside in the sun. It'll look electric.
It's beautiful. You got dark blue, light blue, cream. What more could you ask for?
The car's low and fat like me, so it's, you know, of course I'm gonna dig it.
Everybody took a turn on painting it. It was a fun time.
It's all about the volunteers and business owners who keep this project moving, most of whom bring varied skills, from a gearhead who builds custom bobbers to a young auto detailer from Memphis. These guys allow us to complete a custom in an unheard of 20 days.
We sand more and more and more just to get it that much flatter and nicer and cleaner.
You got a scratch on that one, don't you?
With 6 layers of clear added, the guys buff, and buff some more, leaving about 2 layers of clear behind.
We're taking all the scratches from the sandpaper out of the paint, and we're going to be slowly cutting it layer by layer until there's nothing left and clear coat's pure.
What I like to do is take each section after I remove it from the box, string it out.
We got this guy that came all the way from Iowa. One of my good friends works at his shop and he wanted to come and help, and he's awesome. He's been great paint, great wiring. He just took the wiring under his control once we got out of the paint booth, and he's doing an awesome job. So he keeps asking me, hey, what about this? What about this? And I was like, dude, I trust you, just do whatever. Have you noticed he kind of looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons? Well, if you look behind me, we have this guy, Kevin, from that Trucks TV show. You can kind of look at the car. Look, see how he's standing up on his tippy toes to reach the car? It's kind of mean how we're doing that, and oh, sorry. Ow!
Just what is it about the Hudson that makes it collectible? Plus, its rich racing history attracts NASCAR driver Sam Hornet Jr. to check out our progress. Stay tuned. Day 13, and after 2,200 man-hours, Tom Moore's classic 51 Hudson Hornet heads into the final fitment stages. The men are crafting a full-on custom, which many gearheads feel was in the original spirit of the brand. From the 1909 Model 20 Roadster to the early 50s Commodores and Hornets, the car was ahead of its time. Step-down frame helped lower the center of gravity. The high-compression Hornet 6 with twin H-power was torquey. Hudsons were built for performance.
The Hudson was a very, lots of people say, over-engineered car.
Collector Mike Whited has 6 of them.
Where Ford or Chevy or Chrysler products might have half a dozen bolts holding the front fender on, a Hudson's got a dozen of them. It was an expensive car. Hudson was an expensive car, so, you know, there had to be reasons for it to be expensive. He was built very well.
And the looks?
Most people is shocked by what an odd-looking car they are. They call them upside-down bathtubs and call them all kinds of names.
One name they called it was NASCAR Champion. In 1951, 5 different drivers took the fabulous Hudson Hornet to checkered in 13 Grand National races. The following year, 27 victories. So when former Indy 500 champion and current NASCAR driver Sam Hornet Jr. heard we were building a Hudson,
Good, how you doing?
he came by to check it out.
What kind of power plant are you putting in it?
Actually, it's a 440 done by Indy cylinder head with some fast fuel injection. And
I think it's pretty crazy, you know, but I guess it's probably pretty similar to flying back and forth from Pocono to Iowa, you know, 4 times in a weekend to be able to run 2 different series. But I think that it's great that, you know, they're basically doing it on a volunteer basis where, you know, a lot of these guys come in here and just work this many hours to be able to kind of fulfill somebody else's dream is really cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. This is our brand new windshield, ready to be cut. We have our template ready that we made from the original windshield. We're gonna lay our template on, and there's our mark. Hopefully nothing happens. You're always a little nervous when it comes to cutting glass. Shouldn't be, because that's when mistakes happen. This is a one-shot deal, so I have to ask the camera guy, back away and give me a little space. Here we go. Take my glass cutter and I run the line. Then I take my run pliers and get the run started, which is the crack. And then I tap the glass to get the glass to run where I want it to. I take my propane torch and heat it up, which is melting the laminate between the glass. And that's how you cut a curved windshield.
On the Hudson, we wanted a really cool suspension that we could adjust the ride height. So we called up our friends at Ride Tech. They sent us everything we need. Full Pro E3 ride kit. It's got the valves, compressor, 3 settings, ride height, all the way up, and dump. Pull into a cruise night, bang, goes on the ground. They know us hot rodders don't read instructions. So in the instructions envelope, they put it do not open, so you know you gotta open it.
Now, in keeping with the 50s custom theme, you gotta have wide whites. So we got this wheel and tire package from Coker Tire. It blends all the benefits of a modern radial with the classic look of a wide white wall. We also went to Summit Racing and got these chrome wheels. They're period correct and they look perfect. But the real icing on the cake is the center cap.
On the brake kit for the Hudson, we called up our friends at Bear Brakes. They sent us a complete kit, front and rear. We got 4 piston calipers. They even sent us hubs and rotors, which are drilled, vented, and directional. Bigger's not always better. Ultra performance, 4 piston, and they still fit underneath a 15-inch wheel.
With the long week of hard work finally at its end, the guys can stand back and take a look at their new creation.
Now, the volunteers, yes, of course they bring skill, but you don't get that kind of result without putting a lot of heart into it. These guys knocked it out of the park.